As I was preparing lunch, my neighbor's son unexpectedly entered. The outcome was truly astonishing. The aroma of basil and bubbling tomatoes often enveloped my quaint kitchen, instilling a serene tranquility, a reliable solace amidst the routine of a Tuesday. As I hummed to an old Motown classic on the radio, the one that speaks of a love akin to a heat wave, I found myself carefully layering slices of mozzarella onto a hearty slab of sourdough. A leisurely lunch, my preferred indulgence, where time is measured not by the ticking of a clock but by the gentle elongation of shadows dancing across the linoleum floor. The sunlight streamed in, a warm, buttery yellow, cascading over the sink and casting a glow on the swirling dust motes and the cheerful, slightly chipped ceramic robin that had graced that spot for years. It was one of those exquisitely mundane, delightfully serene afternoons, the sort you quietly nestle in your mind without a second thought. A hint of oregano danced atop the dish, and as I extended my hand for the olive oil, a shadow loomed over the open screen door of my back porch. I lingered, my hand suspended in the air. Surprise was the last thing on my mind. My dearest companion, Janet, found herself in Arizona, cherishing moments with her grandchildren, while my son, Samuel, was a state away, engrossed in the pursuits of his own life. For a fleeting moment, a subtle wave of unease washed over me, much like the state of the world these days. Wouldn't you agree? Yet a voice emerged, tentative and slightly more resonant than I recalled uttering. "Linda, Miss Callahan." I pivoted, raising a hand to shield my eyes from the blinding brightness spilling in from the doorway. There he stood, a fleeting silhouette against the backdrop. A young man of considerable height and a lean frame, his shoulders bearing a familiar slope that stirred a distant recollection. As he advanced into the glow of the porch light, allowing the screen door to whisper its quiet farewell behind him, I caught a clearer glimpse of his face. It was Liam, the one and only Ethan Carter from next door. My word, it had been ages since I had last laid eyes on him in a meaningful way. Yes, I remember it. He was a freckle-faced boy with a knee that seemed to be perpetually scraped, forever attempting to rescue a stray baseball from the depths of my petunias. At this moment, he had undeniably reached maturity. He must have been in his early 20s, I imagined. His sandy blonde hair cascaded longer than the meat cuts his mother, Rebecca, once enforced, gently brushing against his forehead. His blue eyes, thoughtful and tinged with a hint of worry, echoed the memories of his childhood, yet now they were shrouded in an indefinable haze. He donned a plain t-shirt and jeans, appearing somewhat disheveled, as if he had been on the road for an extended period or perhaps had not enjoyed a restful night. "Liam, my goodness, step inside, I urged, infusing my voice with a warmth of surprise. I brushed my hands against the fabric of my apron, a floral creation gifted to me by Samuel on a long-ago Mother's Day. "What a delightful surprise, I nearly failed to recognize you." He presented a timid, fleeting smile that failed to illuminate his eyes. "Indeed, it has been some time." He shifted his feet slightly on the doormat. "Mother and father are not present." I experimented with their cells, yet he faltered, his gaze drifting into uncertainty. Yes, it has come back to me." Rebecca shared that they were heading to the lake for a few days, a small celebration of their anniversary. For nearly 3 decades, Bill and Rebecca have been my neighbors, kind souls, reserved yet approachable, often found offering a warm wave or a generous cup of sugar when the occasion called for it. Indeed. Liam's shoulders appeared to droop ever so slightly. He surveyed my kitchen, his eyes drawn to the simmering tomato sauce on the stove and the unfinished sandwich resting on the counter. "The aroma in this space is delightful." As I prepared a quick lunch, I gestured toward the sourdough, admitting that I was running a bit late today. "Have you had a chance to eat?" It was an instinctive proposal, the sort one extends without a second thought. He paused, his gaze darting between the meal and me. Not quite. I drove directly from school." He swept a hand through his hair, a motion that conveyed weariness rather than nonchalance. "I might have been wise to make a call beforehand or perhaps exercise a bit of patience. I apologize for my sudden appearance." "Nonsense, Liam," I declared, attempting to maintain a light-hearted tone, even as a small knot of worry began to tighten in my chest. He appeared to be lost in a sea of uncertainty. What purpose do neighbors serve? Please, make yourself comfortable and take a seat. There is an abundance. I drew forth one of the wooden chairs from my modest kitchen table, the one with the slightly unsteady leg that I had been intending to repair. Unless you find yourself pressed for time? He slowly shook his head. There is absolutely no hurry whatsoever. He approached and settled into the chair, his movements heavy with fatigue. He set his hands upon the tabletop, and I observed the whiteness of his knuckles as he clenched them tightly together. A delicate smear, reminiscent of grease, adorned his forearm. I returned to my sandwich, incorporating a second one into the assembly line. So the school year has drawn to a close, ushering in the warmth of summer, has it? I inquired. Maintaining a cheerful tone, I recalled Rebecca mentioning that he was pursuing engineering studies in a northern location. A fine institution, she had declared, her face alight with joy. Something like that, he murmured, his eyes locked onto the faded checkered design of the tablecloth. His voice fell to a low murmur, barely rising above a whisper. The stillness lingered briefly, punctuated solely by the soft hiss of the sauce and the faint drone of a lawnmower echoing from afar. The lively Motown melody had faded, giving way to a slower, more wistful composition. My attention drifted towards him, eclipsing the sandwich before me. His youthful visage appeared wan, with delicate shadows lingering beneath his eyes. This was no mere casual visit. It was a deliberate choice made in the absence of his parents. A sense of unease lingered in the air. The atmosphere in my sunlit kitchen grew denser, imbued with a silent anxiety that lingered in the air. With deliberate precision, I arranged the sandwiches on the plates, the sharp sound of ceramic resonating in the stillness of the room. I found myself pondering the unspoken words lingering between us, curious about the reasons that had led him to my doorstep, appearing like a vessel adrift at sea. What began as an unremarkable Tuesday was swiftly transforming into something altogether different. I placed a plate before him, a hearty serving of tomato soup poured into a bowl next to the grilled cheese, its golden crust glistening and melting enticingly. Here you are, I murmured gently. It may lack extravagance, yet it radiates warmth. He glanced upward, and in that brief moment, I caught a glimpse of that freckle-faced boy once more, the one who regarded a cookie with such earnest appreciation. Thank you, Miss Callahan. Thank you, Linda. Please call me Linda, I said, settling into my seat across from him, my own plate in hand. Now, share with me your thoughts. Liam, it seems as though you bear the burdens of the universe upon your shoulders. I endeavored to maintain a tone that was soft and welcoming, avoiding any sense of intrusion. The initial shock of his arrival was gradually transforming into a heartfelt worry, reminiscent of a mother's instinct, or perhaps that of a neighbor who has watched a child grow up over the years. He grasped a spoon, gently swirling the soup in a rhythmic motion, as if the solutions he sought could be unearthed within its ruby depths. The silence resonated, and I felt, with an undeniable conviction that rooted itself within me, that this encounter would transcend the ordinary confines of a simple meal. This seemingly mundane afternoon was on the brink of revealing an unexpected twist that I could never have foreseen. He hesitantly nibbled at the sandwich, followed by another cautious bite. He began to eat slowly, savoring each bite, but soon picked up the pace, a dawning awareness of his true hunger propelling him forward. I observed him quietly for a brief moment, allowing him to indulge in his meal. At times, food serves as the initial gesture, the simplest means to connect or calm a restless soul. The fragrant basil entwined with ripe tomato, the velvety cheese melting into a harmonious embrace. These are the simple comforts that nourish the soul. The sunlight had subtly altered its position, elongating the shadows cast by the jam jars resting on the windowsill. The kitchen exuded a serene stillness, a cocoon of comfort, reminiscent of a cozy, secure refuge. After a brief pause, he set his spoon aside and turned his gaze toward me, his blue eyes still reflecting a troubled depth. "It's about school," he began, his voice scarcely rising above a whisper. He toyed with a stray thread dangling from the edge of the placemat. I find myself uncertain about returning. Before me lay the initial fissure in the barrier. I reclined in my chair, the remnants of my lunch slipping from my mind for the time being. I remained silent. Without a sound of surprise escaping my lips, I nodded slowly, attempting to express my understanding, or at the very least, a readiness to listen without passing judgment. "Very well," I replied, my tone steady and composed. "Shall we discuss it?" He raised his gaze to meet mine, and in that moment, a spark of something passed between us. Unexpected twist? Respite? Within the depths of his gaze, it seemed he had anticipated a different response, maybe a reprimand, or the sort of kindly yet ultimately trivial counsel that adults often dispense. I recalled the time when I was his age, when each choice seemed monumental, and the fear of disappointing those I cherished loomed large. "I'm not sure I can articulate it properly," he murmured, his eyes falling once more to the table. "It simply isn't suited for my tastes. All those equations and labs create a sensation of attempting to squeeze into a box that is far too small, or perhaps entirely the wrong shape." He let out a deep sigh, a weighty sound that resonated from the depths of his being. There's a palpable sense of pride in the air, emanating from Mom and Dad, as well as their circle of friends. "Liam is set to become an engineer. It feels as though I've been bestowed a title, one that I am meant to don, regardless of its suitability." I found myself reflecting on my son, Samuel. During his college years, he experienced a moment of longing to abandon his business studies in pursuit of a life as a musician. The memory of that panic washed over me, the late-night conversations echoing in my mind, the deep-seated concern that he was carelessly discarding his future. Yet, I had made an earnest effort, a genuine attempt, to truly listen. Ultimately, he discovered a balance, a method to weave his fervor into a more traditional journey. Yet, there was something about Liam that felt distinct. This was not a mere impulse. It resonated with a profound, intrinsic significance. Admitting something like that requires a profound level of bravery. "Liam," I murmured gently, "especially when you sense that you're disappointing others." He glanced upward suddenly, his eyes filled with surprise. "Do you really believe that?" "I was certain of it," I declared, locking eyes with him. "It is much simpler to conform, to tread the well-worn path that others anticipate, to challenge that very path, or to entertain the thought of veering away from it. How courageous." A delicate blush ascended his neck. He grasped his sandwich once more, yet refrained from taking a bite. "I have yet to share the news with them, Mom and Dad. Instead, I chose to drive here. It seems I simply required a reprieve from the confines of school." I found myself unable to bear the thought of conveying the news through a mere phone call. He gulped, the weight of the moment settling heavily in his throat. I find myself grappling with a sense of profound inadequacy. "Oh, Liam," I murmured, my heart heavy with longing for him. "Reevaluating your choices, coming to the understanding that something may not align with your true self. That is not failure. Indeed, that is the essence of discovery. It's a journey of self-discovery." After a moment's hesitation, I chose to unveil a fragment of my personal narrative. In my youth, I harbored dreams of becoming an artist. I had everything prepared to embark on my journey to art school. My parents, with all their love, were filled with fear. They sought a greater sense of stability for my future. Thus, I pursued a path in education, choosing to become a teacher instead. He gazed at me, truly gazed at me, his brow knitted in thought. "Were you a teacher?" For a brief moment, I remarked with a faint smile. There were aspects that resonated with me, elements that I found appealing. Yet, that small artist within me has always remained, never truly fading into the background. In my spare moments, I still find myself immersed in the world of painting. It may not define my profession, yet it is intricately woven into the fabric of who I am. At times, the journeys we embark upon are anything but linear. At times, they twist and spiral gracefully. At times, it becomes necessary to retrace our steps in order to discover the correct path forward. He listened with rapt attention, the earlier strains within him beginning to dissipate ever so slightly. He inhaled deeply. What if I find myself uncertain about the right path to take? What if I find myself adrift? The fragility in his voice was unmistakable. It lingered in the cozy kitchen atmosphere, delicate and tangible. This was the essence of it all. This was the reason he stood at my doorstep, resembling a bird battered by the tempest. He was not merely fleeing from an academic path. He found himself lost in the boundless sea of his own destiny, with no shore to guide him. In that instant, my humble kitchen, with its bubbling sauce and the dust-covered robin, transformed into a lighthouse, a modest beacon amidst his turmoil. I sensed that this dialogue was just beginning. In that moment, I understood the weight of my next words and the necessity of choosing them with utmost precision. This young man had transcended the role of merely being my neighbor's son. He was a wanderer in search of a flicker of direction, and in some inexplicable way, he had found his way to me. The gravity of that, the unforeseen duty, enveloped me, not as a hindrance, but as a subtle honor. The fragrance of basil and tomato intertwined with a more intricate essence, the scent of trust beginning to blossom. I allowed his question to linger in the atmosphere for a brief moment, granting it the consideration it warranted. Experiencing a sense of disorientation is an entirely natural aspect of navigating your path. Liam, I murmured, my tone soft and soothing. It seems that at some juncture, everyone experiences such feelings, perhaps more frequently than we are willing to acknowledge. The art lies not in possessing all the answers immediately, but in having the courage to persistently seek out the questions. He nodded with deliberation, taking in my words. He finally savored another bite of his sandwich, chewing with a contemplative air. The straightforward gesture of him consuming the food, of embracing the sustenance I had provided, resonated as a modest triumph, a signal that he was, in some measure, anchored in the here and now. My father is an engineer. Liam spoke softly, his voice barely above a whisper. He adores it. He perceives the world through the lens of functionality, contemplating the intricate ways in which elements interconnect. He has consistently exuded an unwavering confidence in all matters. I have often believed that I ought to embody that as well. It is a universal desire to bring pride to our parents that I took note. It is only human to seek inspiration from them, to aspire to tread the same path, particularly when they hold your admiration. Yet you are not your father, Liam. You are uniquely yourself. Your perspective on the world is uniquely yours, filled with those special elements that bring joy to your heart. A faint smile graced my lips. At times, our aspirations diverge significantly from the dreams our parents held for us, not due to any fault of theirs, but rather because we are distinct individuals. My mind wandered to Bill, his carefully tended garden, his garage arranged with impeccable order. He was a man of integrity, steadfast and dependable. One could easily understand how a son might experience the weight of expectation to mirror such unwavering confidence. What if I am uncertain about what truly brings joy to my soul? He posed the question in a near whisper, infused with a sincere bewilderment that pulled at my heartstrings. What if I simply lack a unique talent? Oh, I find that highly unlikely, Liam. I remarked with a conviction that surprised even me. At times, our abilities may whisper rather than shout, subtle and understated. Not everyone is destined to construct bridges or craft towering skyscrapers. There are those who are destined to forge connections with others, to craft beauty in subtle forms, or to grasp the intricate nuances of the human heart. I hesitated, sifting through my thoughts for the perfect expression. What activities brought you joy in your childhood? Before the weight of career choices and practicality settled in, he appeared somewhat taken aback by the inquiry. His brow furrowed in deep thought, his eyes wandering to the window, fixating on the ancient oak tree standing sentinel in my backyard. Once, I found joy in the art of drawing. He spoke, a trace of uncertainty lacing his words, as though revealing a hidden truth. I found great joy in dismantling objects, eager to uncover the secrets of their inner workings. He added with a faint, self-deprecating smile, not always managing to piece them back together quite so well. Sent my mother into a frenzy. As I spoke the word drawing, A flicker of curiosity ignited within me. What sorts of creations did you bring to life on paper? Is it truly anything? Primarily individuals. Creatures I once endeavored to ensnare. I am uncertain of their appearance in motion, or the emotions they experience. It may seem rather absurd. He lowered his head slightly. It certainly doesn't sound silly, Liam. I replied with warmth. Your perspective reveals a keen eye for artistry and a heart that truly observes. That innate curiosity regarding the mechanics of the world is truly a remarkable quality. Its relevance extends beyond mere machines. It holds relevance for individuals, narratives, and the very essence of existence. He lingered in silence, his finger gliding along the edge of the soup bowl, lost in thought. In the stillness of the room, the only sounds that pierced the silence were the rhythmic ticking of the grandfather clock in the hallway and the faint, distant chirp of a blue jay echoing through the air. The earlier tension in the room had mostly faded, giving way to a contemplative silence. We existed in a small bubble, a fleeting sanctuary from the relentless demands and expectations that the outside world imposed upon us. I took an elective last semester, he said at last, his voice gaining a bit of strength. Photography, merely a pastime, truly, to satisfy a requirement. He gazed at me, a fresh spark igniting within his eyes. It was truly delightful, Linda. I truly adored it. In the dimly lit room, as the images began to materialize, it was as if I were witnessing a spellbinding transformation. His words flowed more swiftly now, a trace of excitement beginning to emerge, and I ponder that perhaps I possess a certain aptitude for it. A sincere smile blossomed upon my lips. Indeed, that certainly has a ring to it, doesn't it? I remarked softly. That seems to be a spark. He nodded, a glimmer of hope lighting up his features, yet a shadow of doubt lingered in his eyes. Yet it is photography. It does not pertain to engineering. It lacks stability. It defies all expectations. The weight of expectations, I exhaled, reclining into my thoughts. Indeed, they can feel quite weighty, can't they? At times, they envelop us in warmth, yet at other moments, they can feel suffocating. I locked eyes with him unwaveringly. Liam, whose existence are you embodying? Is it truly yours, or merely the path that others have envisioned for you? He hesitated before responding. He lifted his glass of water, savoring a prolonged sip, his gaze contemplative. The gravity of my inquiry hung in the air, deep and inescapable. Outside, a cloud seemed to drift across the sun, momentarily dulling the light in the kitchen and shrouding his face in shadow. It imparted an air of maturity, lending him a gravitas that suggested age and contemplation. The boy had vanished, leaving a young man, wrestling with one of existence's profound dilemmas, seated before me. The exploration of this unforeseen, profound dialogue resembled traversing a meandering river, with every curve unveiling a fresh viewpoint, a novel emotional terrain, and I sensed we were nearing a pivotal moment. Liam placed the water glass on the table, the sound of it meeting the surface resonating softly in the stillness. I suppose I've always aimed to meet expectations, he confessed, his tone soft and sincere. Embrace the role of the dutiful son, the bright student, achieve excellent marks, and attend the esteemed institution. I believed that was the path to happiness, or, at the very least, to bring joy to those around me. He let out a brief, mirthless chuckle. It became apparent that it only served to amplify my feelings of being an imposter. That was a remarkably candid statement, I responded, recognizing the sincerity in his revelation. It seems to be a sentiment that many can relate to. I believe, at various moments in our lives, we don the masks that conceal our true selves. The key lies in remembering the essence that lies beneath. I took a moment to collect my thoughts. Liam, your parents hold a deep affection for you. Indeed, I am aware of that fact. Bill and Rebecca embody the essence of kindness and integrity. They desire for you to find joy and achieve greatness. Yet, perhaps their vision of success, or the journey they envision for you, is not the sole possibility. Perhaps, beneath the surface, what they truly desire is for you to find authentic happiness, to experience fulfillment, even if it diverges from their original vision. He absorbed every word, his cerulean gaze locked onto my own. The previous veil of anxiety had not completely dissipated, yet a fresh clarity illuminated his features, revealing a readiness to entertain options he may have previously overlooked. "It merely conveys to them," he remarked, the anxiety creeping back into his voice. "The mere idea of that conversation fills me with dread. The fear of letting them down looms large." "I understand that fear," I murmured gently. "Indeed, I genuinely do. Yet, what if you are misjudging their capabilities? What if they possess a deeper understanding than you realize?" Parents possess an uncanny ability to astonish us. It is often the case that their affection for their children runs deeper and proves to be more adaptable than we tend to acknowledge. Reflecting on my own moments of uncertainty with Samuel, I recalled the instances where I had to recalibrate my expectations and how, in the end, this very process had enriched the depth of our relationship. So, Liam, what do you propose instead? To persist along a journey that leaves you feeling like a fraud? How long can one endure that before something gives way? He flinched, as though my words had pierced a tender spot within him. He conceded, "Not much longer, I suppose." "That is precisely why I find myself seated at your kitchen table, rather than immersed in a thermodynamics lecture." He offered a faint smile. "I'm pleased to hear that," I replied, mirroring the smile. "While my grilled cheese sandwiches may not be the cure for every dilemma, my kitchen remains a welcoming space for conversation." I gazed upon his plate, now devoid of any remnants. "Would you care for another bowl of soup? Another sandwich, perhaps?" He gave a slight shake of his head. "Thank you, Linda, but I must decline that I have reached my limit." It was truly remarkable. My sincere gratitude. His voice carried a sincerity that enveloped me in warmth. The experience transcended mere sustenance. It was a realm of silence, where attentive ears met, and a fleeting moment of profound understanding lingered in the air. The spark I had observed before was now intensifying, glowing with a newfound brilliance. Indeed, that's precisely it. Primarily portraits, unscripted images, seeking to seize a fleeting instant, an authentic feeling, rather than mere staged grins. He paused for a moment, then extended his hand toward the backpack he had abandoned by the door. He delved into the depths for a brief moment and extracted a weathered, leather-bound journal. It resembled a sketchbook rather than a conventional diary. "I began to carry this with me," he spoke, his voice tinged with a hint of shyness. Though it was a modest gesture, he unveiled it and gently rotated it for my gaze. My breath hitched in my throat. It was not merely a sketch, a photograph nestled within the pages, a striking black and white portrait of an elderly man perched on a park bench. His face, a tapestry of wrinkles, tells a story of time. His eyes gaze into the distance, reflecting a deep sadness intertwined with an undeniable dignity. The interplay of light and shadow was nothing short of exquisite. It transcended mere imagery. Once upon a time, there unfolded a tale. "Liam," I murmured, truly touched. "This is truly exquisite, indeed." A gentle flush crept across his cheeks. "Do you really believe that?" "Indeed," I remarked, my eyes lingering on the photograph. "Your talent, Liam, is truly remarkable. This is not merely a skill in which you possess a modicum of proficiency. This is pure artistry." I gazed up at him, perceiving him now not merely as the anxious young man, but as an artist, a soul with a distinctive vision for interpreting and immortalizing the world around him. This is the ignition of inspiration. It's more than merely a spark. Liam.it is a flickering flame. He cast his gaze upon the photograph, then returned his eyes to me. For the first time since he had entered my kitchen, a true, unclouded smile illuminated his face. It reshaped him, banishing the darkness. It was the smile of one who had finally been recognized, genuinely recognized, perhaps for the first time in ages. In that instant, the profound emotional resonance of our unforeseen meeting became clear. It transcended mere career choice. It delved into the essence of identity, the essence of courage, and the deep, silent yearning within us all to be seen and acknowledged. The straightforward task of preparing lunch had, in some inexplicable way, opened a door to truth and discovery. In that moment, my humble kitchen transformed into a sacred refuge. The awareness of the unfolding events, the profound and unforeseen closeness of it all, enveloped me in a wave of wonder. Liam gently shut the journal, a smile still dancing on his lips. "Thank you, Linda," he said, his voice imbued with a subtle emotion that struck a chord within me. No one has ever responded in such a manner. To my images, or to my desire to engage in something like this. Perhaps they simply haven't observed them in the right light. I responded with a soft touch. Perhaps they are unaware of the significance it holds for you. I leaned in slightly, my hands intertwined upon the table surface. Liam, that photograph possesses a certain soulfulness. A narrative unfolds, such a phenomenon is indeed uncommon. Engineering stands as a distinguished profession, one of great honor, dedicated to the creation of enduring structures. Yet, to seize a human soul, to encapsulate a transient moment of truth as you have done, is a distinct form of creation. A unique kind of permanence. He appeared to be contemplating my words, his eyes momentarily lost in thought, as though he were peering into his own future with a fresh perspective. The kitchen had fallen into a tranquil hush once more, yet this stillness was now imbued with a sense of comfort, rich with understanding rather than the weight of unvoiced worries. The afternoon sun, having danced with the clouds in a playful game, now poured in with a gentle warmth, enveloping the room in a tender golden light. It seemed to carry a deeper meaning, reminiscent of a serene space following a tempest. "I have a few more in here," he remarked, tapping the journal. "If you wish to behold them." His offer lay a vulnerability, a flicker of tentative hope that caused my heart to swell ever so slightly.